Okay, it's out. They dropped it on us today. It was a surprise. Last year, the Double XL cover, it felt like they sneak peeked and teased that thing so hard that the results ended up leaking. There was all kinds of leaks last year. I don't know if people even remember this stuff anymore, but it was leaking last year. They avoided that for the most part this year. I didn't really see anybody trying to guess this thing beforehand. Let's run through the cover real quick. We got Lil Mosey. We got Blueface. We got Comethazine. We got Roddy Ricch. We got Rico Nasty. We got Gunna, we got Megan Thee Stallion, YB and Cordae, Tierra Whack, and then we got the baby. So that's your cover. Before we get too deep into it, I just want to say that I did drop this video earlier that is not doing too well. I don't know if the algorithm's holding it back, but did Tory Lanez stage a racist incident? YouTube algorithm is not shining on it. Maybe people just don't want to click on that because it's a bad title. I don't really know, but I just wanted to throw that out there that I posted another video this morning, and I'll probably post some more videos later today. So I guess the first thing I should look at is just to take a look at who I predicted would be on the cover. So this was my list that I guessed, and for the record, this was back on January 30th. So what was that, like 6 months ago? I don't know exactly. But, okay, Juice WRLD. So, for the record, Juice WRLD is not on this cover, and I think it's pretty obvious that he probably turned it down because, let's be real, Juice WRLD is bigger than every artist on this cover. He's doing more streams, more numbers, more YouTube views, etc. Oh, yeah, and how did I forget? The YK Osiris is also on the cover. He's hiding down here, and I missed him when I was going through it earlier. Damn, that's fucked up. But anyway, Juice WRLD, probably arguably the biggest artist. I think he probably turned it down, although I don't have confirmation on that. Blueface obviously made the list. YB and Cordae made the list. Sheck Wes is one that I was a little bit surprised to not see on this cover. I mean, Sheck Wes had like the biggest song, one of the biggest songs of last year, I guess. And you would think that in normal times would get him on the cover. It seems that it didn't really work out that way. Couple things you could consider for the reasons why Sheck Wes might not have been chosen. Maybe he turned it down. That's possible. I would say more likely it might have to do with the assault allegations against him. I could see XXL, especially since they clearly went so hard in the female-friendly lane here. I could see XXL not wanting to have Sheck Wes be on the cover because he's a little bit problematic. That's one possibility. Of course, the baby has been identified in multiple murders. Well, no, let's just say one murder. But, you know, I guess he got off on that, so he's on the cover, so it's all good. But anyway, yeah, Sheck Wes. Also, I guess the other thing you say about Sheck Wes is that his career maybe has plateaued a bit. He had that huge song, and we haven't really seen too much signs that he's going to keep getting better or bigger from here. So, yeah, I guess that was a little bit surprising, I guess, to not see Sheck Wes there. But at the same time, a lot of these artists who came out, you know, you don't have Sheck Wes, but you do have somebody like The Baby, who realistically 3 or 4 months ago was not really popping. Megan Thee Stallion. A couple months ago, nobody was talking about her like she was somebody that was going to be on this cover. Here we are. Rico Nasty, I'm glad to see that one worked out. In my opinion, I say it all the time, I think she's the baddest bitch rapping. I think she's probably the best female performer out right now, in my opinion. I'm just a huge fan of her. Roddy Ricch, he made the cover, so I called that one correctly. YNW Melly, a little bit unfortunate here because obviously got arrested and charged with a double murder. I think if it wasn't for that, then he would almost certainly be on this cover. Lil Mosey, I was correct on that. Gunna, I was correct on that. Lil Baby, he got left out. And then Comethazine, he made it. So actually my list here is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I wasn't able to hold myself to doing a mere 10. So I guessed 11 here, and the only ones that I was wrong on, that I was truly wrong on, Lil Baby. I think we can all agree that's a little bit surprising that he didn't make it, but at the same time, you know, the XXL cover is about diversity. They're trying to show people from all different walks of life, and I think that them putting Gunna on the cover, they just couldn't really justify putting another rapper who has, you know, sort of a similar, same exact style, not the same exact, but, you know, pretty similar to Gunna. They did mixtapes together and everything. I think that from their perspective, putting Lil Baby on the cover with Gunna maybe just might have been, you know, two artists that were a little bit too similar. And then I was wrong about Sheck West. Again, I think that when this list was made, that was a pretty, or when I guessed this, that was a pretty reasonable thing to say, and that it has since become less of an obvious pick. But yeah, as far as, Juice World and YNW Melly were the only ones that I feel like I was really wrong about. Well, no, those don't count, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because one is in jail and one turned it down. So that being said, YK Osiris, I'm going to admit, I'm not like crazy familiar with him. I've watched a little bit of his stuff, but I should probably get reacquainted. He's not somebody that I thought was such an obvious pick, but, shout out to him. Big props to him. Megan Thee Stallion, again, another obvious one. Lil Nas X is kind of an interesting one because he did not make the cover, and clearly he's the biggest new hip-hop artist to have come out in a long time. I just realized that my comment is on display right now. Where's Skinny from the 9? Haha, Adam. You got 2,000 likes, though, so not bad. Lil Nas X is huge, but at the same time, and also Lil Nas's new song, Panini, is out. And I'm going to probably make a video talking about it in the very, very near future. But you know what I'm saying. Like, Lil Nas X, he came out so recently that probably they were already pretty close to having this cover finalized. He's one of those artists who, his song is still #1 right now. XXL and their staff haven't really, in my opinion, had the chance to fully metabolize what's going on with Lil Nas X, and so I guess that's why he got left out on this cover. Academics was saying some stuff about how there's like a star or a leader of every cover, and he said that it was Gunna, and that Gunna was really kind of like the star of this one, the same way that X was the star of the one the 2 years ago, and that Uzi, I guess, was the star of it a year ago, I believe is what Academics was saying. So that's kind of interesting that they let Gunna get away with wearing this orange suit where everybody else pretty much is wearing all black. I guess Roddy Ricch has a little bit more color in his outfit there too. Tierra Whack too, a little bit more color, but Gunna is out there just looking like a big old orange. Yeah, but I guess the reason the thing that is interesting is that these days the cover has changed a lot. Like when you look at the old days of the XXL cover, there was a lot of people on those covers who it was obvious that XXL was trying to do their journalistic thing by sort of assigning value to all these different people and guessing that those people would then blow up the next year. Now, when you look at the cover, most of these people have already had big-ass songs, at least on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever, but most of the people on this list already have huge songs. So we've kind of reached this point where it's not so much XXL choosing who they think is going to be big, but XXL identifying who is new and is already big and then trying to sort of editorialize a little tiny bit. Like the Tierra Whack one, that's a little bit more of an attempt at doing something a little bit outside the box of what's normal. Now, Tierra Whack has gotten a shitload of press, and people love her. A lot of you guys watching this might not be super familiar with her, but that was definitely an attempt for them to sort of go outside the realm of what's just super obvious. The one really interesting thing, though, is that they did put 3 girls on the cover, 3 women, if you will. I think I said something about that in my prediction video, was that I saw XXL in a position where they basically had to make a large percentage of the cover women. Just because there's so many popular female rappers coming up out of the scene these days, I just thought it was obvious that they were going to have to go beyond the one. They usually, like, there's been so many years when you look at the XXL covers, at one point, the thing just switched where it used to be all dudes. And then all of a sudden it became this thing where they had to put in one woman per cover. And now we're at the point where we got 3. Now, Megan is crazy obvious to have on the cover. Like, this cover would look ridiculous if Megan wasn't on there. Rico Nasty, again, I thought she was an obvious one. I'm glad that they actually followed through with that. And then Tierra Whack is a little bit more of a avant-garde pick, but I'm glad that they followed through with that too. What's really insane is just how certain rappers who are still relatively new can seem almost dated as choices. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, Comethazine, it feels like we kind of saw the high point of his career earlier. It feels like his most recent album, we did not really hear a whole lot of hype about it. And me on a personal level, I'm going to be honest, he's kind of been a dick to deal with. So I'm almost kind of surprised that XXL actually put up with his ass and got him on the cover, just because of the fact that he is difficult to deal with. He doesn't always make the best impression on people. A lot of people walk away from meeting Comethazine and they're kind of like, man, that guy's a dick. Myself, sort of found myself in that situation, in the sense of just like, wow, this kid is kind of disrespectful. Jeez. And I know other people in the rap game who feel sort of the same way. So I am a little bit surprised that Alamo was able to get him on here. But at the same time, I would say that he deserves it. I was actually almost surprised when I went back to my list and I realized that I had him on my list. I'm like, oh, shit, I guessed that pretty good. Because I would have guessed that in January, but I might not have guessed that today with this cover coming out. But at the same time, I mean, he is pretty popular. He's got plenty of popular songs. And I'm not saying that his career is going downhill from here necessarily. It just seems like the high point was maybe a few months ago. And I guess a lot of people I've seen saying the same thing about Blueface, in that, like, if this cover had came out 3 months ago, Blueface would have been clearly the most energetic, polarizing star on the cover, and now here we are in 2019, and man, people just love to say that people fell off. People are already throwing it on Blueface and saying that he's not going to have another hit. I'm not saying that, but there's a lot of people already out there doubting. If you are coming out in the rap game at this point and you don't have a poppin' song for a couple months, people love to throw that shit on you and just say that you're done, and it makes for a really weird situation where it's kind of like, you know, are you done? You know, as a rapper, you're definitely questioning where your position is in the game at all times. Who looks the most likely to have been photoshopped in here? I'm looking at it, and I kind of feel like Mosey. The lighting looks weird. He just doesn't look like he was a part of the same photograph. I'm not saying that as if it's like a real thing. I have no real reason to think that. But just over here floating, he just sort of looks different. You'll notice that there's really no diversity of race on this cover. Mosey is the only person who's clearly mixed in any sense. I don't know. Maybe Corday could be mixed with something. I don't really know. But anyway, what are the other prevailing themes here? I don't know. The women, that's a big theme. No Lil Nas X and no Juice WRLD is very, very interesting. But other than that, I would say that when people come out and they say, oh, this cover is actually really good this year, what they're really saying is like, oh, this cover agrees with my sense of what's actually popular and what's out there right now. And that's because the game has changed, and XXL is basically in the position of just sort of compiling what they can already tell is popular online, as well as doing some amount of curating. But anyway, that's why everybody is looking at this list and they're like, oh yeah, this is a good list. But then again, from my perspective, the list is usually pretty good. I mean, I could go back and have all kinds of other opinions and stuff, but for the most part, the list I think is pretty on point most years, the past few years. Anyway, let me know what you think of the list. Drop a comment down below. RIPX, drop a like also, and comment, all that stuff. And go watch that the Tory Lanez video that I put up earlier today, because I thought it was interesting. I thought it was more interesting than the 300 likes that it has right now would entail. Peace.